as the bank is looking at, obviously, the process of reissuing those 6 lakh cards, how quick a redressal or a resolution can we expect in the coming days?
No, we will be able to dispatch these cards within next 2 to 3 days for sure. And they will be couriered, and all the card holders, wherever the cards have been blocked, they will get their cards and they can start transacting using their card. And nowadays, once you receive your card, you don't have to go to the bank branch for activation. There is a facility of what we call green pin generation, and you can activate your card by either going to the ATM or through internet banking. You can get your ATM pin. So as soon as you get the cards, and they will all be sent by courier. So we are ensuring that customers are the customer inconvenience is minimum, but given the circumstances, I think it was a step where the bank is bearing the entire cost, but it is in the interest of the customers that this step has been taken and not with the intent to inconvenience them.
Just to set the record straight, 6 lakh debit cards is what you have blocked as of now. Are you still in the process of identifying this threat? Can we expect more action from the bank in the sense, could there be more cards that could be blocked? Is there a threat of a wider spread of this data breach?
No, if any such situation further comes to our notice or wherever there is any alert, so yes, we will take the similar precautionary measures. But as of now, the information is about these 600,000 cards which have been used outside the state bank groups, ATMs, and I am happy that you have clarified that it is not the ATMs of SBI which have been compromised. But again and again, the point which comes is that in an interconnected world, every partner in that ecosystem has to be secure.
Okay, let's now connect with Y. Ramakrishna. I believe his card was also impacted. I'm not sure if it was a credit or a debit card. Mr. Ramakrishna, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, madam. Thank you very much.
Yes, tell us, what happened with your card? What sort of a card was it, and what's the response so far?
Actually, madam, not card. Just I will tell you. I got an account with State Bank of India, Manali, Chennai, madam. Not card, actually, madam. I actually went to US in June. In July.
Okay.
Madam, on 24th July and 25th July, 1100 each 2 days. That is 4 times. Somebody transferred from my account, madam, through IMPS.
Okay, sir, I think what you were talking about is a different matter. That would be a different sort of an unauthorized transaction or a fraudulent transaction that happened, not linked to this data breach. So let's not mix up everything over here. But that brings me to the wider point, Rajiv, on what the RBI's thought process is on limiting customer liability. Now, whether it's this data breach or we're talking about any other sort of fraudulent transaction, what the RBI has proposed in August this year is that as long as customers report, as quickly as possible, within 3 working days, there will be zero liability on them. Is that something that's going to be palpable for banks? Do you see this draft framework actually evolving into hard law?
I think let's look at what there are ATM transactions that happen on a regular basis. Some of those transactions don't go through. So there is a straightforward chargeback mechanism that happens between banks. And the customers are typically paid anything between 4 to 7 days. If transactions happen, sort of transactions of the nature that we are talking about happen, we've had some instances of customers coming to us saying that we've seen transactions happening which have been of a suspicious nature. We have investigated the transactions. We have found them to be of a suspicious nature, and we have credited the money back to the customers. So I think as long as the customer is able to demonstrate that he has done the requisite due diligence, that he has not shared his password with anybody. He has been changing his password or PIN number on a regular basis. The fact that he does check the SMS transaction SMS on a regular basis, and most important, that the mobile number that he has registered with the bank is indeed current. I think if you are able to sort of demonstrate that you've been able to do this, and you've been careful with while you're transacting either on the ATM or the internet or mobile, I think the banks will treat such transactions will work closely with the customer and ensure that the customers don't lose their money.
Okay, Mr. Krishnan, let me come back to you. Very quickly encapsulate for us what needs to be done to strengthen security systems so that these kind of data breaches do not occur, whether it's an ATM, whether we're talking about a net banking transaction, because this was neither the customer's fault nor the bank's fault, not necessarily at least. It was a third-party issue. So what more needs to be done to strengthen the overall system?
Just I want no reply at all from their bank people.
No, that question was for Sivarama Krishnan. Mr. Krishnan, if I could come to you. Let's get a view from PwC.
Yeah. I think there are fundamentally three blocks of activities the whole ecosystem partners have to undertake. I would not limit ourselves only to the banks alone. Every ecosystem partner equally need to take responsibility to ensure that they do right things. First fundamental thing is that while certain banks may not outsource anything, certain banks may outsource, but there are services that are being provided, etc. How will every part of ecosystem partners have adequate controls and responsible measures are taken, and what kind of a supervisory measures the banks have on top of them so that right things happen is first thing that they need to do. Second is that expecting that everything needs to have only preventive measures may not necessarily adaptable in the cyber world, because you can only prevent what you know. In cyber world, you will end up in having number of instances what you do not know, or you get to know later. In those circumstances, banks and every ecosystem partners need to have an ability to detect and respond faster and quicker. For instance, in this case, when I as an expert believe that it is the right level of response that has been given to prevent this incident doesn't lead to financial losses to the customers and consumers.
Sure.
While that's the second thing which are needed from both banks as well as the ecosystem partners.
Sure.
But I do believe that the consumers also need to play their role right. To be honest, RBI is the first bank who has mandated for transactions to be notified immediately to the customers through SMSs and emails.
That's right. The RBI has been very pro-consumer.
Mandatory.
Totally. Mr. Krishnan, I'm so sorry to come in over there because we're trying to squeeze in some more comments from our viewers before we wrap up. Swapnil Sharma is joining in. He's a student and I think he's got an issue with the credit card. Swapnil, very quickly, 30 seconds, what exactly happened with your card?
Yeah, so yesterday, I'm speaking on behalf of my father's card. So yesterday at 21:30, what happened was that there was a transaction in the US in the merchant name of Brooks Brothers. So that was a transaction valuing of about 45,000 rupees. But there was an alert via an SMS, but that went unnoticed. So what happened was that in the morning, because my parents have been traveling, so in the morning what happened was that they had noticed that there had been a transaction made. And then we had gotten in touch with the bank. So the bank had said that we are looking into it. And also there was an incident
I just want to ask you very quickly. So there was an unauthorized transaction that took place with your card worth 45,000 rupees. Was this card used to withdraw cash, or was this used at any Indian bank ATM network in the last 4 to 5 weeks?
I would like to inform to you that this is a credit card which has been used for international transactions. But as Mr. Anand had earlier mentioned, we have always been, taking care of the passwords, taking care of changing the PIN. So that is not a major problem. But then this is a transaction which is not authorized by us.
Okay. Thank you for calling in, Swapnil. I'll put that to the bankers in just a bit. We also have a query from Mr. JJ Frank, I think. And he's asking a very pertinent question. He's saying that it's getting a little confusing. The banks usually say that, we'll never ask you about your ATM PIN. But now some of the banks, I think, are talking about changing your PIN. So it's becoming a little confusing for customers. Mr. Frank, very quickly, what's your question?
Well, on September 19th, I received this message, and it stated that, I forwarded the message to you guys, so since you want me to quickly make that point. So I called back the bank, the number. I did not call, there was a number provided on in the SMS, but I did not call that number. I called another number. I checked the number that was anywhere listed on the ICICI site. So I called another number, and I spoke to the CCE, and she said that, no, we haven't sent the message. And the message said that your international limit has been reduced by 7,000, has been reduced to 7,000. And